What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk to you about the top 5 short squeeze stocks that you need to add to your watch list going into this upcoming week. So I'm going to go over all the things that you need to know, but first make sure to hit that thumbs up, and with that, let's get right to it. So starting off with stock number 5, although not in any particular order, you have ticker CWD. So it is sitting at 347. Did have a little bit of a rough Friday, so it went down 22%. Over the last 1 year, it is down 71%, but over the last 5 days, it is still up 99.46%, and that is encumbering the 22% pullback. This is some general good information such as market cap and so forth. This is what they do if that floats your boat, so pause it if necessary. But 76.61% of the free float is being shorted. That works out to be 588,000 shares overall are being shorted. Exactly what the market likes to squeeze. Heavily shorted, low float. Short score, higher the number, the higher the likelihood of a squeeze happening, is sitting at 80.73. And then through IBKR, it does indicate roughly around 1,000 shares is available to be shorted. So rather limited supply. And you can kind of see as well the cost to borrow, which is a annual rate, not a daily rate, is sitting at 256.28%. So typically, whenever you have stocks that are limited quantities and the cost to borrow is fairly high, you do see a lot of big players buying the stock just to lend out. So most likely that will be occurring this upcoming week. So let me know your thoughts on this stock in the comments below, and if you own it or whatever else. I actually, on a side note, recently put out a video a couple days back on what Ortex actually does see as 4 squeeze plays. So their top 4. So for those of you that watched that video compared to this, let me know your general thoughts, because my mentality, what I like to pick is stocks that have a clear high presence of shorts, and in many cases shorts just being overextended. But I also do encumber a lot of good pre-existing momentum, such as this being up 99% over the last 5 days. So I feel like that's a good recipe for either a nice push higher or whether that be a squeeze or not. So let me know what you prefer, whether Ortex numbers or Ortex stocks or these stocks. Moving on to the next one, you have ticker SATS sitting at 61.79. Over the last 1 year, it is up 236%. Over the last 1 month, up 108.15%. And even over the last 5 days, pretty much the exact same thing. This is what they do. On a side note, seasonality with us now in September. Over the last 10 years on average, it does go down about 0.6%. So nothing crazy. But this is what they do. So cable and satellite based out of the States. But 12.28% of the free float is being shorted. Works out to be 16.58 million shares overall are being shorted. DTC, 3.63 days. So that does signal how overextended shorts are. And so that does factor in the average volume in comparison to number of shares being shorted. Short score, 61.89. And generally, from what you can kind of see, shorts, despite the price action recently, have been holding on. So they've been losing a lot of money. Even over the last 3 months, they've lost about, looks like the short interest value has gone up 266%. So they've lost a good, I'd say like 800 million. But again, for those shorts that have actually held. But nonetheless, though, when it comes down to it, whoever is shorting definitely does have some fairly deep pockets. Through IBKR, it does indicate roughly around 850,000 shares is available to be shorted. Cost to borrow is kind of on the low end, so it is at 0.49. So even though there is somewhat limited supply, you might not be seeing some buying because, again, cost to borrow is kind of on the low end. So this is stock number 4. Moving on to stock number 3, you have Open Door. Over the last 1 year, it is up 111%. And then over the last pretty much 5 days, down 15%. So you are seeing a lot of volatility. And this upcoming week, with a lot of the data points, it is going to really solidify whether that be that 25 or potentially even 50 basis point cut for the upcoming September 17th meeting. That will be huge for Open Door, and plus, even aside from that, just growth stocks in general. In case you do not know what Open Door does, this is it. So real estate services based out of the States, but 24.13% of the free floats being shorted, works out to be 158.73 million shares overall are being shorted. So short interest was about 34-35% back in July. And so they kind of returned quite a lot, but they are starting to inch back up. So again, something to keep in mind. Through IBKR, there's about 1.7 million shares available to be shorted. Cost to borrow is 5.85. So you might see some buying sometime this week. Might not necessarily be how, or like with that 1.7, if it does get back down to the 30,000, then you could see some buying, similar to how it did jump from 35 to 1.7. Clearly some big money did buy during that occurrence, but nonetheless, something to keep in mind and add to your watch list. Moving on to stock number 2, you have ticker IPDN sitting at $6.69. Over the last 1 year, it is up 48%, and then over the last 5 days, up 190%. So definitely did show some signs of life on Friday, went up 246%. Rather impressive. A lot of good information here. 306 million shares were traded on Friday as well. So seasonality, September over the last 10 years on average goes down about 5.5%. This is what they do. So human resources and employment services based out of the States, but 9.53% of the free floats being shorted, works out to be 144,000 shares overall being shorted. So this does meet the criteria. Again, somewhat heavily shorted, low float. So again, something to just be aware of. Shorts, from what we can see, have been starting to double down. So it went from about 1.48% short interest in July to where it is now. So shorts have been really doubling and tripling down. Through IBKR, it does indicate there is a measly 49 shares available. Cost to borrow is 297.32, so fairly high. So most likely you will be seeing some buying going into this upcoming week, as big money will love to take advantage of this juicy cost to borrow. So this stock definitely add to your watch list. Moving on to stock number 1, ticker is SKBL, sitting at 105. Has been trading for less than a year, but over the last 6 months, down 89.05%. So not doing all that great. Over the last 5 days, though, it is up 134%. This is what they do. So construction and engineering based out of Hong Kong, and 14.54% of the free floats being shorted, works to be 1.37 million shares overall being shorted. Short score, 79.15. Shorts have been extremely reactive to the stock price, going from about 0.16% short interest in kind of August 22nd range to where it is now. So they have like 20x'd their overall position, so definitely overextending themselves in some capacity. And through IBKR, though, it does indicate 7,000 shares is available to be shorted. Cost to borrow is 140. So most likely you will be seeing some buying, as well as I've mentioned in previous cases. Cost to borrow is very juicy, and big money will be hypnotized towards that. So don't be surprised if you do see some buying going into this upcoming week early on, as yeah, definitely that's very tempting. So let me know your thoughts on these stocks. Is there any other stocks that you feel could be a squeeze this week? And if so, throw some tickers in the description below, and potentially why do you feel that the stock is going to really move higher? So let me know your thoughts on these stocks. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up. One final thing, pop over to my Patreon if you are looking for some solid buy signals on stocks, options, crypto, many of which have been absolutely on point. Definitely worthwhile to pop over there and take a look. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.